Hello and welcome to Malaga, Spain, the host city of the 2023 Basketball Champions League Final Four, where we have the pleasure of witnessing an event that has become customary in this season-ending events of the BCL. It's the yearly roundtable of BCL CEO Patrick Comninos with the accredited media at the event. Of course, this roundtable is also streamed live on YouTube, so media professionals from across Europe and beyond get to watch this press conference. We'll start with an opening statement from Mr. Comninos, and then he will be very glad to field your questions after the conclusion of his statement. Mr. Comninos, thank you very much for coming. If you can please open the conversation with a statement.
So, good morning to everyone. This is, as Dimitri said, now become a tradition for the Saturday morning, the day before the final, to have this opportunity to be here with representatives of the media and to have a very open and candid discussion. Before starting, I think the most important part from me is to really thank the local authorities and the home club of Unicaja Malaga for all their tremendous support in helping us organize this event, knowing that we had limited time in our hands. We know that it took a tremendous effort from everyone in the local community to help organize this event, and I want to really extend my thanks and my gratitude to all the local authorities and to the club. Because together we have organized, or we are still organizing, a great event, one that allows us to showcase our season-ending pinnacle event in the best possible manner, in an amazing city, in an amazing arena, in front of an amazing crowd. So for us, this is very relevant. And as we reach the end of our season, tomorrow we will be crowning a new champion. None of the finalists of tomorrow have won the BCL, and also we will be crowning a new country as champion, as neither Germany nor Israel have won this title before. So it is a novel opportunity, and although I know that there is a sense of disappointment in the local community, I am still very confident that tomorrow's event will be a tremendous success, because everyone still wants to come and attend what is a European final day, the opportunity to still win a medal and to watch the crowning of the champion. So we are very excited to be here and to be finalizing this season in this condition. So I will not make a much longer introduction. I think this day belongs to the representatives of the media, the accredited media that is here in this room or that is online, and I'm very happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take the first question from the gentleman in the blue shirt here. The mic is coming to you.
Thank you. The two semi-finals yesterday finished on the last possession. It is the first time in the history of BCL that this happened, and there will be no Spanish team in the final, even though we have two very good Spanish teams in this Final Four. What does it say about, what are your thoughts on the level of basketball that has been played this season?
I think it's a good question in the sense that it highlights the high level of competitiveness of this year's Basketball Champions League. We knew before even the games started that we had the most competitive Basketball Champions League Final Four in our history. Two teams from the top 5 of the ACB, that is the most competitive league in Europe, and we have the two teams that are in the top five of the ACB, the two teams that played in the final of the Copa del Rey. So we know that we have two great Spanish teams in this competition. We know that the German team of Bonn is a great success story, both in the Basketball Champions League, where they have been very dominant in their respective games and groups from the outset of the competition, but also in the BBL, where they finished at the top of the regular season of the BBL. And then we have Hapoel Jerusalem, a traditional powerhouse of European basketball, number two team in Israel. So for us, we already knew from the outset that we have the most competitive environment ever. And yesterday's semifinals, as you rightly point out, demonstrated this high level of competitiveness. Both of them ended in the last possession, 3-point difference combined in the two semifinals. I think that's another record, and it's a clear indication of the high level of not just the Final Four, but the entire competition as we look at the teams that are participating in the BCL and how they are performing in their respective leagues. I think we are all very pleased to see the continuous growth and the level of competitiveness that exists. So again, last night's semifinals was a testament to this, and we are very excited for the two games tomorrow. The third place game, where once again Malaga and Tenerife will be playing each other, same as the final of the Copa del Rey, same as the upcoming ACB playoffs. So it is becoming the fixture of the year in Spain. And then our final between two teams that have really performed extremely well this year. So we are very excited for this.
Thank you. Next question. The gentleman over there in the white shirt.
Hello, good morning. My name is Juan Calderón from Sur Newspaper. I have two questions. The first, and I want to know if the teams of the BCL have asked you about to change how you distribute the money or the prize money of the competition, because you know it's a good final prize for the Final Four, but during the season it's not so good, as we say, here in Spain, because for example, the best team is Telecom Bonn, 100,000 euros, and then the Jerusalem, Unicaja, and Tenerife. Could you change that in the future? There is any interest of the clubs about that? Thank you.
Thank you. We are taking an approach when it comes to the prize money that we distribute that is very much in line with our approach when we talk about the competition overall, that every game should matter. And at the end of the day, we are in a competitive environment where the top teams should be rewarded, but every team should benefit financially. And what we are providing to all the teams is important in terms of covering a number of expenses, because it's not just the direct money that we give to the teams for their own expenses and travel and operational expenses, but we also cover a variety of other expenses when it comes to organizing their home games, whether this is TV production, whether this is branding, whether this is refereeing expenses. So for us, it's always been a very clear approach from the start of our competition that no team should suffer financially for playing in the Basketball Champions League. It should always be an icing on the cake. It should always be an important and pleasurable experience. But of course, the teams that go very far into the competition and lift the trophy, then they should be obviously rewarded significantly more, and that is always an impactful amount for their budget. If you look the percentage of a team's budget of the top teams that is covered by the BCL, it is very relevant to a team's budget, and that impacts their financial season. And for us, this is very important. When you play a European competition and you win it, that should have a benefit, a financial benefit in your budget. It should not be an insignificant amount compared to your budget. And if you look at the budget of Bonn, if you look at the budget of Hapoel Jerusalem, winning 1 million euros will have an impact on that budget as a percentage. And for us, this is a very clear message as to the relevance of our financial commitment to the clubs. Thank you.
Thank you. The gentleman at the back.
Good morning, Mr. Comninos. I'm Cesare Milanti from Euroops. I have a question related to the neutral field in which you guys played last season in Bilbao. I remember there was a lot of excitement for this first neutral field Final Four from the BCL. What changed this season and what made you decide to come back to the usual tradition of the BCL of playing in the venue of one of the four participants? Thanks a lot.
No, thank you, and I think that's a very legitimate question because I myself, at this event, the press conference before the final last year, demonstrated our strong commitment towards an approach that would include a neutral venue, and we were blessed last year to have this opportunity to go in Bilbao and organize a fantastic Final Four there. The neutral venue is always something that we wish to examine. It's always in our strategic outlook, but we will only do this if it makes sense. We are not going to go to a neutral venue just for the sake of going to a neutral venue without being able to guarantee the level of involvement, the level of commitment of the local authorities. And this year, for a number of reasons, we had many opportunities to go for a neutral venue, but none of them satisfied us to the point that we felt comfortable to go there. So we examined the opportunity to go to one of the participants, and as I said in my introduction, we are extremely pleased to have this partnership here where the local authorities have embraced our competition. We are in a region that is organizing tremendous sport events in the last years and has a very direct strategy about becoming a sport destination, not just in Spain, but in the whole of Europe. And that for us is the level of guarantee and the level of partnership that we look forward when we organize an event. So we were not able to find the ideal neutral host, but we are extremely grateful and pleased to have found the host here in Malaga, to have partnered with the local authorities and with the club in order to deliver this great event. But our intention is to continue to pursue a neutral venue destination. This is what we want to tackle for the coming seasons, and we hope that if we do find the right partners, then we will, of course, examine the opportunity to go to a neutral venue.
Thank you. The gentleman in the black shirt.
Mr. Comninos, I would suggest to focus on Bonn. And if we take out Bonn from the whole BCL ecosystem, what do you think that is the message that Bonn sends in a pan-European level of the European ecosystem of basketball?
Thanks. I think Bonn represents very much our core values when it comes to the Basketball Champions League. Participation is earned through the success in the domestic league, and Bonn had a very good domestic league season in the BBL last year that allowed them to qualify to this season's Basketball Champions League, and then it demonstrates that at the end it is a competition where at the start of the season it is very difficult to predict who will be playing for the ultimate prize tomorrow. It also demonstrates that if a team delivers on the court, the BCL is an environment where it can go far into the competition, and for Bonn to reach the final is an example of this opportunity that is afforded effectively to all the clubs that play in the Basketball Champions League. We have a very balanced and a very competitive environment, and that, I think, is indicative of our key mission statements, as we've always said them from 2016 when we started the competition, to be a pan-European competition that values sport criteria and sport merit. And as I said, we now have a team from Germany and a team from Israel competing in the final, something that, again, allows us to demonstrate this wide opportunity that is afforded. So for us, Bonn is a good example of what a team can achieve. And as I was saying to the previous question, the amount of money and prize money that Bonn will receive will have an impact in its budget, and that is part of the messaging that we want to send.
Thank you. The gentleman there in the white shirt. The other one.
Unluckily for the Spanish market, we won't have a representative as usually in the final, but the two teams have shown a great level of commitment and play. You always praise the Spanish teams as being a key part of the success of the BCL. What do you expect for the upcoming seasons regarding the Spanish market?
No, it's a very interesting question, in the sense that from our 7 finals, if I'm not mistaken, this is the second that does not have a Spanish team. In 2018, we didn't have a Spanish team when Ike won the trophy against Monaco. In every other edition, except for the final tomorrow, we've always had a Spanish team. So I think that goes to show the consistency and the high level of competition that exists in the ACB. But as I said before, last night, the two Spanish teams that are among the best in the ACB this year, they faced great opposition from other teams that are very successful in their respective competitions, and as we all witnessed, this was a one-possession game in both cases. So I think that this is more indicative about the quality of the BCL than anything regarding the Spanish market. I think for us, we look forward to the next season, when we will once again welcome a number of Spanish teams into the competition, and we expect them to remain very strong, very competitive, and that to us is of relevance. So for me, it's more a messaging about the high level of competition of the BCL, where other teams are also getting stronger and able to compete against the very best, which are some of the ACB teams.
Thank you. The gentleman in the blue sweater.
Hello, good morning. This was the first year of you, the BCL project. Talking to the people from UK, I heard a lot of praises about the organization and idea overall. Are you satisfied, and what are the next step in that project? Thanks.
It's always good to realize the relevance of the Youth Basketball Champions League, even if we are sitting here discussing the BCL and its final. It is true that we had a great success this year in Bursa at the Youth BCL event, a competition that was initiated following requests from a number of teams that wanted to have a pathway for their under-18 units and to have an environment where they can play at a well-organized and well-structured event. So that's what we did this year in Bursa. We had 10 teams enter the competition with Igokea beating the home team of Tofaş in the final. This is part, again, of a strategic vision for all of us at the Basketball Champions League. We want for the Youth BCL to continue to grow and to become of relevance to the entire European basketball family. At present, we are still only inviting the youth teams from the participants to the Basketball Champions League, and that is going to be our approach for the upcoming 23-24 season. But our intention is down the road to convert this into really the Basketball Champions League for the youth teams and go and receive the champions of the various countries. This is always a challenge because the team that wins in May, because of the age restriction, might be a very different team if we go the next year and ask that team to come. So we are trying to find the right balance between awarding the actual champions of the various countries, but also maintaining a high level of competition. But this is our obligation, as we always do. We are constantly thinking and examining, but always we do this in rational and consistent steps. I think for all of you that have followed our progress over the last 7 years, everything we do is after considerable thought. It's after giving ourselves proper time to examine everything, and I think the success of the BCL is due to this strategy that we don't take decisions lightly, except when we had to adjust for COVID, where we had to really take decisions on the foot, as we say. But otherwise, everything we do it in a strategic manner, and what we want to do is develop organically and make sense in everything that we do. So Youth BCL remains a very important deliverable for us, and as I said, very happy with what happened in Bursa and looking forward to the next editions.
Thank you. Yes, the gentleman in the white shirt again.
Mr. Comninos, hello again. I know there are many rumors, in the basketball market about the future of the European basketball. In the last month, we heard about the rumors about the possible unifications between the BCL and the Eurocup. Not the next season, maybe in 2 years. We know that you have some meetings with the Euroleague. We want to know if will be possible. There is any possibility of unification between the BCL and the Eurocup, and if that future competition, that future tournament will give a place in the Euroleague. Thank you.
It's never good to respond to rumors in this capacity. What I can and what I will say is that we have a very open dialogue with the new management of the Euroleague, always with a view to finding the optimal solutions for improving European club basketball. I think there is a common and shared opinion among all the participants in these discussions that there is a significant value gap between the popularity of club basketball in Europe and the commercial value it generates. And I think that's a universal consensus. So that is something that unifies our discussions. And we are now indeed sitting around the table looking at a number of topics, not just Eurocup or BCL. We are having a very holistic approach to these discussions, and we hope that in the coming period we will be able to share a lot more information and not just respond to rumors. But from our side, we acknowledge when it comes to the structure of the European club competitions that there is a lot of room for improvement. I think we need to be able to offer to the marketplace clarity and certainty as to what is happening. This is the principle, this is the foundation for any competition, for any environment to grow. And right now there is a lot of confusion, there is a lot of uncertainty, and if you ask the marketplace, sometimes this level of confusion is a deterrent to the commercial growth. So we are aligned in this direction, in creating certainty and in creating an environment that produces value for all its members.
Thank you. The gentleman in the black shirt, again.
Mr. Comninos, BCL and you personally have proved that you're very open to listen to your audience, to the clubs, to the fans, even to the journalists. Would you like to tell us if you have in mind any kind of change in the format of BCL?
Indeed, we're always very open and transparent in our processes. And for those of you that have heard me communicate our approach when it comes to the competition format, you will always remember that I'm a firm believer that formats should not change overnight. One of the fundamental problems that European basketball has faced over the last year is this lack of uncertainty when it comes to format, lack of uncertainty when it comes to the structure. And I've always said that the competition format needs time for it to be evaluated. It should not be looked at on an individual season because that's not indicative. We need to have and collect data. So for the coming season, we will for sure proceed with our current format, and that will close a 3-year cycle of this format. And then we will, of course, make the necessary assessment at our governing bodies. We have a club council where almost 1/3 of all the clubs are represented, so we have a very inclusive representation, clubs that come from bigger leagues, clubs that come from smaller leagues, more competitive, less competitive. So we collect all this information that is at the club council. Then we have the BCL Competitions Commission that evaluates how all of this makes sense in the wider capacity. And then we have the BCL board that at the end will validate any such changes. So it is true, we are collecting constantly data, both from the clubs, but also from our broadcasters, from our sponsors, from our fans, of what the pluses and what the minuses, because there is no perfect format in any competition. There are always going to be elements that can be improved. What we try to do is develop a format that maximizes the interest for all the stakeholders, not just one specific stakeholder category. And to this end, we will once again play the competition in the format that we are currently using, the 8 groups of 4 teams for the regular seasons, then the play-ins, then the round of 16, quarterfinals and final 4. We know that there are a lot of benefits in this format, but of course we acknowledge that there are certain challenges. So in a year's time, we will have a lot more information when it comes to the format about the new cycle starting in 2024.
Thank you. Before we take a couple of more questions from the floor, we have a question that we received on WhatsApp for the benefit of television. If you can please comment on the attendance at the Final Four. They assume you're satisfied with it, and your comment on the Malaga fans, on the passion of the Malaga fans.
So I think last night the attendance was more than impressive. I don't have the exact figures, but I would say it was a quasi sellout last night. I don't have the exact number of tickets that entered the arena, but from the looks of it, it was a sellout, and it was the first time in our BCL history that we had a considerable representation from all 4 clubs. And that again is something that is of great relevance, that fans from Israel, from Germany, from Tenerife, it's not such a big journey, but it is still a journey, made their way here. And of course, once again, we witness the amazing passion that exists in the green-shirted fans of Malaga, and the support that they provided, the excitement and the impact that they had. And if there is one message at this stage, is that that support for their club, for the event, for the competition is also relevant in tomorrow's game. The Final Four is not over. There is still a bronze medal to fight for, and a great final to witness. Back in 2019, when we had our first neutral final, it was in Antwerp, in the Sportpaleis, where Virtus Bologna played and won against Tenerife. We broke, I think, a very unique record. We had 17,000 fans in attendance, full house, for an event where the local team was not playing. Again, we acknowledge the disappointment that the local fans may have, but that should not deter the interest and the excitement, and we hope that tomorrow the fans will once again join the celebration, join in supporting their team in what has been an amazing European campaign, starting from the qualification round tournaments that were organized here in Malaga and playing all the way until the last game day of the competition. And that deserves an applause, that deserves congratulations. So I hope and I welcome and I invite these very, very passionate fans of Unicaja Malaga to come to tomorrow's game and support their team, but also witness a great European final and the entire show that we put at the fans' disposal.
Looking back, BCL started several years ago, and you managed the BCL to establish it as a reference in club competition in the European basketball landscape. Teams are very happy with the format, with the level of competition, with exposure, the social media. It's a whole package you bring to the teams in many levels. Is there room for improvement for the upcoming years, or you consider that the goal has already been reached?
I think there's always room for improvement. Otherwise, we would not be waking up every morning with a tremendous sense of excitement to continue building a top European club competition. But I appreciate what you say, and that's our sentiment as well, that every year the BCL grows and becomes better and has the level of impact in European basketball that we've always hoped it would have. So, of course, there is room for improvement every day, every week, every month, every year. Our goal is to continue to improve with the ultimate aim of creating a European club competition that services the needs of the clubs, that services the needs of the fans, and allows us to really showcase the opportunity that is availed to the clubs.
Thank you. We have time for 2 final questions.
I would ask you to answer, bringing together your dreams and your desire, but also the facts. How would you visualize the European basketball landscape in 2 years from now?
The point here is not just my personal vision, it's what should be our communal vision. I have a very clear mindset on this in terms of what the landscape should look like. And it's no surprise that we require better structure in our competitions. We require more clarity in order to be able to inform our fans of what is happening. We need to respect the pyramid of sports. We need to safeguard the strength of the domestic leagues. Without strong domestic leagues, we cannot have the foundation of basketball, which is player development. Otherwise, we will all be sitting here talking about something that does not grow in itself. So it is clear that in our mind, the structure of respecting the key elements that grow our sport, which is the domestic leagues, which is the national teams, which is the entire family of basketball. As I always say, and we'll repeat it, basketball in Europe is not played by a handful of clubs, it's played by hundreds of clubs, and we need to make sure that we cater to all those needs. Taking into consideration the different layers, we still need to make sure that there is a lot of clarity and certainty as to what the product would look like. So we need to determine the number of club competitions that makes sense to have. Right now there are 4 club competitions with teams from all the leagues playing in them. Personally, I don't believe that that's necessarily the best approach. We have a lot of teams from certain leagues that play in a European competition. That's also, in my mind, not ideal. It doesn't represent the reward that playing in Europe should be linked to. We have teams that sometimes are closer to relegation than making the domestic playoffs, playing European competitions. We've had in other competitions team come from the 2nd division and go and play directly in a European club competition. That to me makes no sense, to be playing in the 2nd division and then go and play in a European competition. It has to be linked to the success of the domestic leagues. It has to be representing the pyramid of sport, and it has to have the level of clarity, but offer an ambition to all the clubs to play in a European competition. And then at the end, we need to make sure that the model that we put in place allows for commercial growth, not just of a handful of teams, because that then creates a great disparity. If there are a handful of teams that grow financially or receive financial benefits, even if they do lose money, they do have very, very high budgets, which then deter or disturb the European landscape and the domestic club competitions. We need domestic environments to be competitive. We need the gap to continue getting smaller rather than getting wider. And that, I think, is important when we try to incentivize new investment, because at the end of the game, one of our key missions should be to bring investment into basketball. And investment only comes where there is hope, when there is an opportunity to win something. Nobody invests in a sport team that does not have the opportunity to win titles. And we want to encourage investment. We want to grow the marketplace, to grow the pool. And in that direction, I believe that our combined efforts should produce similar results.
Thank you. The gentleman in the white shirt. Yes.
Mr. Comninos, hello again. You have this season 5 Spanish teams in the competition. We don't know if you have decided how many teams from the ACB will be in the qualifying tournaments. The same question is, do you think it is a risk for the BCL to have many teams from the same country? could be a problem with another countries, with another leagues?
The final number of teams from each league will be determined in the coming weeks, and we have a board meeting at the end of June that will validate this. And this is a combination. This is linked to the ranking of the national leagues, but this is also linked to the interest that we have from the various territories, and always looking out for the top teams in each league. I will give you one example about my home country from Greece. This year we have almost all the teams that have made it to the playoffs, which is the very best in the league, wishing to play European competition. So we need to make sure that we address issues like that. Similarly, in many other countries, we have a very wide desire. So what we always try to do is find the right balance between a pan-European representation, but also a qualitative element. So this year, in the season that is just finishing, we had 18 different countries represented into the regular season of the Basketball Champions League, and that is indicative of our universality. We had, I think, almost 30 different countries represented in the season entirely, following, including also the qualification round. So we are always trying to find this balance to be both pan-European but also be qualitative, and as I mentioned before, having in this Final Four 2 out of the best 5 teams of the ACB, having the leader of the German league, having one of the top teams from Israel is indicative of the quality, but is also in line with our desire to be very inclusive in our pan-European approach. So we will follow the same model. The exact number of teams will be determined at a later stage. Once we finish with the Final Four, we start immediately the planning for the 2023-2024 season, and that's when we will have a lot more information to share. Thank you.
Thank you. We only have time for a closing statement, if you wish so.
Okay. As always, it's a pleasure to be here and to have the opportunity to share my personal thoughts, which are of course the collective thoughts of everyone that is operating at the Basketball Champions League. We believe that we are in line in organizing the best ever Final Four. As I mentioned, we are for sure going to have and engrave the name of a new club in our trophy, and a new country as added into the list of teams or countries that have won the competition. Once again, in closing, I would like to thank everyone in the region and in the club that have supported our event, and we'll welcome everybody at the venue tomorrow. I think everyone has seen the efforts that have been put in place, whether it is at the arena, whether it is at the fan zone. We will be organizing our awards in about an hour's time, where we will recognize the very best of this season. So you can again see the various elements that we put in place in order to highlight this end of season weekend for us. So we are extremely excited. We are in the path for the best ever BCL Final Four, and once again, thanks to everybody that has helped us in making this possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This concludes the media roundtable with Mr. Comninos, and we will be back, of course, very shortly at around 11:15 approximately with the press conference of the 2 finalists. Thank you very much.